Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored by the following: DJ Event Planner, Electro Voice, Max Photo Booth and DJ Booth Design, DJ Trivia and DJ Bingo, ProX Direct, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Odyssey Cases, Perfect Portals, JMOZ Lighting, and Instant DJ Requests, along with the DJNTV Insiders at DJNTVtraining.com.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to join us. We want to appreciate each and every one of you who took time out of your day or evening, or like if you're watching this in replay later on, whatever time it is. Thank you.
I'm hoping it's like 4 a.m, because that would be like a special time.
I would just like the memo next week. That's all.
The memo of
that we're all supposed to wear blue shirts tonight.
Oh, I always wear a blue shirt pretty much. And Dan, because of
and
his,
you don't have anything besides black.
He's you notice
I have lots of colors.
He's got kind of an athletic logo. I think is that a Russell? You know, the R there.
It is Russell.
Okay, so
yes.
So he's been training for his 5K this weekend. So he's like changing. He's going to be wearing like all these name brand athletic wear, where we're just going to be like wearing crappy DJ stuff or bad coffee, whatever.
I've been doing this for so long, trying to get some of the DJ companies to sponsor me, and that just hasn't worked. So now I figure if I try and go the athletic apparel,
you might have
maybe one of them will.
You have a chance. That'll be great.
I almost said that with a straight face.
I'm just so incredibly happy that this show is only from the waist up, because I can't handle Dan in yoga pants.
Yeah, well, that's for the second part of the show. He'll introduce the.
That's the special time.
Yeah, that's. You remember?
Dan after out.
You remember how they had the big poofy pants back in the 90s? Well, Dan's excited to bring
back in the 90s. That's like 2 days ago for me.
Yeah, all right.
I still wear the ones.
I own every color of hammer pants there was. I own polka dot ones and everything.
Wow.
I've seen some of those videos.
That would be exciting.
Good in them.
That would be exciting. I never got into that. I was basically the most weird pants I wore as a youngster was the plasticky ones with all the zippers everywhere, and I don't even know what they were called, but
zipper pants.
Yeah, they had 25 different zippers everywhere, and they looked like you were wearing a hefty bag with zippers type of a thing. Yeah.
Michael Jackson stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but I was young enough and thin enough at the time and such that I could wear that kind of stuff. Now I would just look like a sad old person.
Dan, say something.
Parachute pants.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
Parachute pants. Thank you for that.
Parachute pants were different than the zipper.
I know, but
no, he was talking parachute with the MC Hammer.
MC Hammer. I couldn't think of what those were called. It's
hammer pants. That's what they're called. Screw that.
Zobies,
Hammer's the man. Because he's too legit to quit.
Zorbas, Zacharias, or I don't know what they were called. So tonight, we are going to dig into some reports from NAMM. We actually had a person on site at the show. This year's NAMM was held this past weekend, which is typically not the case. It's usually in January, like third or fourth weekend of January. The show typically is a Thursday through Sunday, 4 days in January. They moved it to June because of trying to catch up from the COVID thing. They wanted to get a show in 2022, and they kind of put it on a weird weekend for a lot of us in the DJ industry specifically, but even in the live music industry, because this is our time to be out performing in the summertime, and it went over a weekend. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, one thing they did differently this year than past is on Sunday, it went right until the end of the day. I think it closed at whatever, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, where typically the Sunday was a short day so people could break down and be out of there. So there was additional time for people to be there on Sunday. With that being said, we'll get into a little bit more about that whole process because it was an interesting observation time with NAMM. So we will kind of dig into that. Before we get into that, though, we wanted to kind of catch up now. Dan, you had a wedding this past weekend?
I did.
So let's kind of catch up. Talk a little bit about what we've been observing at our events, and then we'll dig in. Probably about 20 after is when we'll get into hitting the NAMM show. So if you don't want to really get what we've been observing at our weddings and such, just jump to 20 minutes into the video. And if you want to follow along, hey, we'll enjoy having you with us. So
they're watching live now. How do they do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to drop 20 minutes into the future.
Yeah, well, that would be pretty cool. If you could jump 20 minutes ahead into the future, find out what the lottery numbers were, then jump back 19 minutes, buy your tickets, then jump ahead again.
That's what you would do with the time travel, not help other human beings, not save lives.
He would win the lottery to use the money to help other people.
Oh, no.
See?
No.
You assumed.
I would buy like a piece
economy mind.
I would buy a piece of land, build walls really, really high, and forget the key and end up outside myself. But it would be fun for a few minutes. Okay. So Dan, give us a little what did you do this past weekend? Let's kind of if there were any observations or any thoughts or anything from this past.
So this weekend was a return to the barns for me. Barn weddings. If where you're at, they don't have barns. You're lucky, because that seems to be pretty much all I'm doing right now is barn events between now and like November. That's exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. I realize I do not have an event in a climate-controlled venue until the third week of October.
Oh my
goodness.
You must have ticked somebody off in the booking world.
Well, the problem is not the problem, but I have two venues in particular where I am one of the top referrers that they have.
Sure.
And between those two, I have 10 events scheduled between now and that time. So that's part of the reason why that's the case. So anyway, return to barns. I don't know if I was just dreading like some of the heat to potentially or what. I left, got to the venue, set up, and went, where's my mic case? I don't have my mics. Guess who's driving home? Fortunately, I got there early enough that I was able to drive the 35 minutes home and the 35 minutes back.
Ooh.
To get the mics. But I had them in time and set up and ready to go. One of the things that I'm observing, it was very interesting if I want to compare like last weekend to this past weekend. So the weekend before to this one. The weekend of Memorial Day, I was in a venue, and that one I had 280 people. It was, huge. They had a request for the chicken dance. They did and it is somewhat of a Polish area, but they had a money dance. They did garden bouquet toss, like all of the old school traditions that for a lot of people have really kind of like gone by the wayside. They implemented. And then this past weekend, all that stuff was gone.
Yep.
Like we did the only parent dance we even did was the groom with his mom. Now the bride's father had passed, but she didn't dance with her mom. She didn't dance with her brother or anything like that. A lot of those traditions were gone. But it was a very weird type of event in the fact that because again, it was like a stuffy barn to a degree. Now it was, better than a few weeks ago, but it's still that stuffiness that when we got done with the formalities, half the people were outside.
Yeah.
If not more than that. Like I was playing to an empty dance floor most of the night. And at one point the bride came back in to get a drink or something like that. And I kind of went over to her and I was like, listen, I said, if you want to end this early, I'm more than happy to give you some of the money back to get, because they had booked the extra hours and whatnot. And I was at that point, I'm just like, I'll go home early and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, no. She's like, we're outside dancing. Okay. Can't see that where I'm at.
I'm not getting feedback.
So she's like, no, we're loving it. We're happy. Everything's good. We're outside. We're Riverlot people. We're outside. We're used to being out there. And I'm like, okay. So it was a different type of event from that standpoint. But the formalities are still, the ceremony type of formalities are still there. The other pieces are still working themselves together. So it's, while it was different to see the contrasting weekends, some of those important elements are still there and will always be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned the formalities, and that's something that I have not had so far this year with any of the weddings, or I should say, they've still done the first dance, but the others have been hit or miss. And this was actually the first garter and bouquet that I did this past weekend, but they didn't do a dollar dance. Instead of doing the money dance, they decided to do a meat raffle. So the wedding party went out and they sold tickets. They ripped a ticket and then give them half type of a thing. And they had purchased, I think, 8 roughly $20 packages of meat. So there was a pork chop, a tray of pork chops, a couple of steaks on this tray, and there was just a combination of beef and pork on these 8 different trays. And then we would, after the wedding party sold tickets for a while, then we did the drawing and called the numbers, and the person, 8 people won some meat to go with it. So I was wondering how effective that was going to be when they first announced it. I was thinking, they might see the 8 of them. They were $20 value of meat, so they roughly have $160 in it. I'm thinking, if they make $20-$30 on this at tops, people were dropping as the chance for a meat raffle. They were like buying 20 tickets at a pop. When I went to go do the drawing in the box, I bet there were 5. They were selling tickets for $1 a piece. I think there were close to 500 tickets in that box. It's like, oh my goodness. Everything from, they started a new roll and it went from 000, and the highest number I drew out was 396 or something like that. And there were people that were yelling at, how come you nothing in the 400s? Because all the numbers were 300s or lower. There wasn't a single drawing in the 400s. Were they put in that? So yeah, there was a lot of tickets and things with that. So I think the big thing that, even with this upcoming wedding this weekend, is that people are trying things new, trying different things. That there's, the formalities and doing some things. Cake wasn't a thing. They're going to do something and take a chance, I suppose. Yeah.
Dude, the cows outnumber the people where you live, because I've never heard such a podunk wedding thing in my entire life.
Well, it was a very rural area in one of the biggest counties, dairy counties in the state of Minnesota. So it would definitely fit that criteria. It was a Catholic wedding, and so Father Mitch was there, and when he went up to do the blessing, he's like, some of you might know, most of you don't, that they had an open mic night for comedians, so people could come in and try a few minutes at this little pub or whatever you want to refer to it as. But he's like, and I actually came in, and one of his jokes he basically told is that in Stearns County, which is this county that most of the places it's a gene pool. Well, Stearns County, because everybody is related to everybody else, it's a gene puddle, and that instead of it being a family tree, it's a family bush with everything. And it's interesting. Generally, people in a very strong Catholic community are very revere their clergy. I've never seen a clergy get so many ugly looks from the people in the room from that one. It's like, oh my goodness, that wasn't a good joke for that room.
Why is it? And this is a side piece. Why is it that priests, when they come up to do the blessing, always have to tell some long-winded joke? That was a story that I know he told, and I would guarantee every time he goes to do a blessing, I have not had a priest attend a wedding that has not done that when they go to do the blessing. And I thought it was just the ones I was working with, but now knowing that it's halfway across the country they do it too, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, it was
so happy that I don't do weddings.
Yeah,
so happy.
So Go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say one other thing that I'm starting to notice, and I've been noticing it this year, and I'm curious to see if John, if you're running into this as well, or for the people in the chat could drop this as well. My couples this year seem to be more last minute on a lot of things. So I meet with them 2 months in advance to get everything taken care of. Month out, if there's still details we haven't figured out at that meeting, I'm on them about that. 2 weeks out, I'm like really putting the pressure. The past few weddings this year, I've been finding out information the week of.
Oh,
And for me, that just drives me nuts because I want to have my details. I want to load my music. I want to take care of it. And if I know I'm going to be busy this week, I don't want to be doing it Friday night at midnight because I didn't get stuff till the last minute. So are you seeing the same, like as a change, or has it always kind of been that way for you?
It's this year for surely. Pretty much all the weddings that I have done so far this year, and even Michael's on Saturday, we've had where they've had a spotlight dance that they were going to, we'll tell you at the, before the dance starts. My one on Saturday, I couldn't find the groom for a period of time before the spotlight dances start. So I introduced that we're going to be doing their first dance, and they came to the dance floor, and it's like, okay, so you know how that mother-son dance, you were going to get to me and let me know what you want? Well, now you have 7 minutes before I need that song title. So maybe, oh yeah, I've got the, and it was an easy one, or thankfully I had it. Whereas Michael, on the other hand, he did not have the song that they wanted to use for the mother-son dance. I believe, I think it was that or father-daughter. So he had to go in and try to use the iPhone to find the song on Apple Music and then play it through the system, because you can't use Apple Music the same way as we used to be able to use it with Virtual DJ. So, yeah, the last minute stuff is definitely a thing. Let's talk music for about two or 3 minutes here before we segue over. Musical taste. And MJ, I actually want to start with you, because are you seeing anything different in your situations where you're having people request or reacting to music? Because we were talking, like, in the last couple of years, the 90s stuff was really, really hot, and the 90s stuff has been falling so far this year, has been falling kind of on deaf ears to a point. It hasn't been doing as well. What have you been seeing when it comes to that 90s and early 2000s stuff?
Yeah, again, I do not believe in this regional crap other than a few songs here or there. It's an age thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a throwback song right now, because there's throwbacks and oldies, okay? Throwback song is 10 years. So 2012 is a throwback song. Because a person who was 22 is now 32 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
32 is now 42. So now then you do the oldie song, an oldie song. And I know people go, oh, no, oldies is from the 60s. No, that's doo-wop.
Yeah.
Oldies is anything 25 years or older, because that's a classic car, is 25 years. So 90s is now oldies. So I was at a place Saturday where after my gig I went to, and they were dropping songs from like 2003, Usher, yeah, stuff like that. And everybody there was like, oh, man, I feel like I'm in high school again. And you just have to look at your crowd. So if that's your crowd, that's what you're going to get. So the crowd there was in their 20s and 30s. So 90s was before them. 2000s was when they were in high school.
In my situation this past weekend is that I did not have virtually anyone from kids. There was a few 5-year-olds and a couple of under, but there was really nobody from that 4-year-old up to about 24. It was like this open. There was nobody in that age group at all, virtually. Maybe 2 people in that age group. And then after that, it was basically probably mid-20s on up, which as you went up, there were more 30-year-olds and there were more 40-year-olds. And then, that was kind of at the top of our bell curve in that 40-year-old range. It was interesting. The 2000s worked really well. The 90s kind of were like, eh. And then the younger people, the 20-year-olds, the 80s stuff, we're back into it. If you saw my Facebook post where I put in there the guy who came up and said, can you play something from this century? He was the only young person, and he was probably, he would have been, late 90s, his birthday type of a thing. But all of his contemporaries were out on the dance floor. The only people who weren't really out there were some of the 60-plus-year-olds that were in the crowd. And that was fun. Yeah. Can you play something from this century?
Can I also point out, John, you told us in your area that you played Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby at a prom and didn't get shot.
Yes.
So it's really tough to look at some of that stuff and go normal, not normal, because I don't think you can put the words normal, not normal to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dan, if you were doing a prom where you are, could you drop Ice Baby?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I will say this. There was probably a period 5 years ago, we'll say, where I couldn't have. But what I got in requests and playlists and stuff like that handed out from both people on site as well as in advance was so much old stuff. TLC No Scrubs.
Well, that one, that's when you do the throwbacks like that, that's when I say you can get away with stuff that's older, like Spice Girls. It was just so stupidly popular that you can get away with it, you know?
Yeah.
Journey, Don't Stop Believing. It's just one of those ones that's just Dancing Queen, just another one of those ones. But Dan, these people that you were doing your weddings, what was their age group, give or take?
This weekend's was probably early 30s.
Ice Baby, yeah. So 30s is not young. In my book, a 30-year-old's not young.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so a 30-year-old, they were in high school in what would that have been? 2008?
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah.
All right, so you go back to the 90s, that was junior high or grade school for them. So that's when they're just getting into music. So that gives you a picture, that window of their life. So Ice Baby was something they probably heard their parents play. Hey, this is a cool song. Check this out. And they probably vibed off of it that way.
Right, yeah.
So
you said you started talking about the prom. And I mean, the it's interesting to see some of the differences, but yeah, you're spot on with it.
Prom would be the parents playing it.
Yeah,
forcing the kids in the car.
Oh, yeah. I'm following you.
Back in the day, you don't even understand. It was the jam. And they forced them because there's videos all over YouTube of parents doing that. And they're jamming in the front seat, the kids in the back seat. No.
Yeah.
So it's again, I wrote about this in articles. I've done videos on this. It's a psychological game we play as DJs. You are manipulating them into feelings. I did an event the other night where I was playing popular songs, but lounge versions, remakes from somebody else. And people were coming up going, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I know all these songs, but they're different and they're kind of loungy. And I was explaining, no joke, this honestly happened. The lady was asking me questions. I explained to her that, I said, by doing it this way, I'm getting nostalgia of a song that you knew when you were a kid, but I'm also putting you in the mood of the style that this venue wants you to be in, a lounge. So I'm mentally putting you in two different spots at the same time. Mm-hmm. She come up at the end of the night. She goes, this is the most awesome thing I've ever heard, and handed me a $20 bill. So
nice.
So it's a game we play with your crowd, and that's why people want lists of songs, and that's why I'm a firm believer. Look at the people that are there. Try things out. That's why I push people to mix, because if something does not work, you can get out of it smoothly so it doesn't seem abrupt. You can still try to catch them with something totally different, go old, go new, whatever you think. But that's a big thing, I think, is just looking at the crowd in front of you. And if the crowd in front of you wants, I had about 2 months ago, I had one that wanted 90s. And I'm telling you, I was about to run out of 90s. I mean, I'm dropping like P.D. Pablo. I'm dropping Grills, which that was like early 2000s.
Yeah.
But I'm dropping anything like that, and they're just eating it up. And I'm like digging further down in my list of those years. And I'm like, well, what the heck else was from those years? And then I go, okay, I did not play any Ja Rule, so I got to go grab some Ja Rule, and then old Nelly, So it's, you have to find that crowd, and sometimes you have to work it. But I'm sorry, I talked too long.
It's definitely making that transition to the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s is what you're gonna be hitting on. For that. And the 90s will go over with your older group.
It's over 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it was my most requested song Saturday night.
It's still hot. I still drop it. I don't give a flying crap. People like it.
Yeah. I was just
John Lowe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you drop those at weddings, John? Can you drop?
I did on Saturday. Typically I don't, but I didn't have any children, and the grandparents, I don't even know if there were grandparents there by that time. So it was about 10:30, whatever. Yeah, maybe 11, but yeah, it was It was just, I had the party crowd that was there with the family, and they had a great time with it. Even had some people requesting Moni Moni, and it's always kind of funny, the whole hey everybody, that kind of thing that they're going to chant to it. And the very first time they start, they especially some of the older ladies who have been saying that to Moni Moni for 30, 40 years, and all of a sudden they're back there and they start saying, and then they look around before they say
their grandkids or
to
something.
See if there's somebody here. It's like, okay, can we actually say it? Oh, we missed that time through, so okay, now maybe, hey everybody.
I saw a band perform on Saturday also, because I just make sure I make my rounds, and the band did The Roof is on Fire. But in the venue, they keep things PG-13. So they kept repeating, instead of "The roof is on fire, we don't need no what." The band just kept going, the roof is on fire. The roof
Yep.
is on fire. The crowd was doing the rest because they know they can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's a game we play.
When we had to make the edit of that because we were using it for some of the things we were doing back for your youth events. So we made an edit because we were doing a follow me dance to that, and that's exactly how we did the edit. Is the roof, and we just repeated "The roof was on fire." It was actually very funny.
I had that song when it came out on freaking 45.
Oh,
that's how old it is.
That you got me beat. We just had it on CD.
Yellow and black label 45 with scratches in it.
But yeah, the 90s didn't work out this past weekend. The 80s, surprisingly, were there, and I think it's a lot of because this is the stuff Mom and Dad made them listen to a little bit. We were getting closer to that age.
You hit, John, were they like the super hits? Were they like the Michael Jacksons, the Whitney and stuff like that?
Yep. Okay. It was the big hits from that era, and they were the ones that were being requested from that. I figured
those are ones that are going to be timeless. We're going to be playing those at some point forever.
Yeah, it really it was. The Backstreet Boys was one that came out and that went over very well. And it's always after the song is over, you get on a microphone and say, it's always neat to be able to see that there's some of those wannabe boy band members in our crowd. And
I love it when the guys complain about playing, like NSYNC, and then the girls start doing it, and they like jump over and start doing it with them, and I'm like, complain to me about that.
And again, we're in kind of a rural area, so you've got guys in cowboy boots and flannel and blue jeans, and they're all dressed in cowboy hats, and yet they're up there singing. Right, to the top of their lungs. I want it that way.
That's good though. To me, that's where you make a connection with your audience.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a very mental, special thing that you get to do. That a lot of people who don't do entertaining of any sort never understand that.
Yeah, that's very, very true, and that's a tough thing to be able to teach to my boys as they're going out, and that. Your success isn't always on that dance floor. There are other ways to have success and to be. And in Michael's situation this past weekend, he's learning that, and he ended up having 2 hours of overtime because he has learned how to connect and play to the crowd, and not just trying to play the 110 to 130 beat per minute dance music the whole night long. And it took him. It's taken him some time to get that. Yes, he's played the variety of music, and to actually understand why and how to take people, as Brian Red, who's with us tonight. Hey, Brian. Brian has talked about numerous times of that, taking people on that kind of musical journey. That's something he likes to do, and having that walk down memory road and throwing some change-ups in there and having some fun with it and surprises. So they're catching on. No, Achy Breaky did not get played. No Achy Breaky Heart. So, okay, so let's chat about NAMM. We're a little behind, but that's okay because this isn't going to take very long. For the next show, by the way, at the end, after we're done tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, Howie's got the Hangin' with Howie show out at DJNTV.com/chill. And Howie, I'm hoping Jay is going to be joining you, and I'd love to have Jay talk a little bit about the NAMM experience, because he was there. And we've actually got footage of a booth walkthrough, the Pioneer booth walkthrough. And there's Jay, as our camera person was kind of going through there. So Jay would have a little different insight. Mini cowboy boot wedding. So first off, we did have someone, a friend of mine was down at NAMM, and he was kind of looking around for new things. Before we get to talking that, MJ, you get a lot of PR stuff, some press releases, information from different companies. How many press releases did you get prior to NAMM?
3.
That's probably, I think I've gotten 4 or 5.
I don't get, well,
you get
could
some.
have gotten some from like Chauvet, but I tend to click past them so fast because that's not a world that I spend a lot of time in about lights and whatnot. So I may have gotten one of theirs and just kind of brushed it off because I figure if they have something new, John's going to tell me, then I'll go look at it, sort of thing. So I saw 3. Well, I don't even know if they can be counted as NAMM stuff because all 3 of mine that I saw and that I want to talk about came before NAMM. So I don't know if you want to count those as NAMM or not.
And that's really the point of or some of this situation is that there were things that were released like a month or 2 ago. This was the first time they were able to show those. It really was. It was from the outside as a media person, it was a really disappointing show because we weren't getting emails and different things like we typically would of things that were going to be at the show. I think that was twofold. One is some of our regular contacts weren't there. Electro Voice wasn't there. American DJ was there. Chauvet, you mentioned that they were there, but in music, there wasn't any in music companies at the show, and there's many others that weren't there.
What speaker companies did you see? Because I didn't see anybody, but what was it?
PV, I believe PV was there.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned a lot of guitars and synthesizers. That is the biggest thing that truly was it. Looking at all of the press release things from NAMM itself that came to me, it was like guitars. There were more pictures in their media pack that they send out every night, a kind of a recap of the day. I got more pictures from their seminar rooms than ever before. I mean, they've always taken pictures, but it's like it was almost like they were trying to hide the exhibit hall. And the exhibit hall for NAMM I thought was the bread and butter. That's but it I've talking to a couple of people and they said the turnout it was steady. But there wasn't the Saturday afternoon when everybody who's anybody is finally there and the place is wall to wall and shoulder to shoulder. That they didn't have that experience this year at the show. Yeah, Pioneer was definitely there. We've got a little booth walkthrough. We're going to be putting a lot of the little videos. We didn't get a ton. We've got a handful, and we're going to put those up so you guys can see. That'll be going up starting tomorrow. But yeah, Pioneer was there. There was a little bit of a walkthrough. Pioneer did. I think, from my understanding, is that they had some new speakers, and they came in literally to the booth Sunday morning. If my understanding is correct, and I could be wrong, it might be the Sunday before, but I think it happened Sunday morning because our guy ended up going and getting an interview on the new speakers. Now, you guys are probably thinking that we're DJ speakers, maybe really something. No, these were monitors. Yep, DM series studio monitors, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Both in white and black.
Yeah, and there's Bluetooth capability. Yeah. So and that's all good, fine and good. It's just that I think is kind of a telling thing of what we have in our industry right now is that there isn't product that's available, and the new stuff that might have been getting here is hung up somewhere because of supply chain is still a tough thing out there. So again, if there's more stuff from Pioneer, Jay will be chatting about that.
I did a video on their mixer that came out on Tuesday prior to NAMM. So there's a video out there if you want to watch that. But that was one of the things that came out that you can kind of consider NAMM, even though it came out on Tuesday. I had the press release the week before. The weekend of, who was it? It was Reloop came out with a new controller. I don't know if you want me to share anything or not. It's the Mixon 8 Pro. It's a 4-channel mixer. Your basic mixer, but as we're seeing on a lot of the other controllers out there, it's getting those paddle effects that that I have on the Rain and all that I love. It's got 4 of them because it's a 4-channel. So I knew that was going to start coming because they were really always liked them. But that was out, and that was right. I think Algorithm took a big push on this because they were known because theirs is built around that, and they also released a DVS ability. That's, for those of you who don't know, it's digital vinyl system. It's for playing on records that are tone control records for DJing. That now algorithm, in, keep this in mind, in Apple products only, can now run DVS, and it was also tied in with the Mixon 8 Pro. So those were like the three. Is two of them were pushed by algorithm. And the other one was Pioneer.
So do you think that an algorithm, they're the DJ software, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, DJAY, are they really trying to get into the mobile DJ market, or are they still into the bedroom DJ or these?
There's a lot of DJs out there that use that as their second software.
Right. Okay.
They like it for mixing. They like it for other stuff. And I think they're trying to develop it and get it accepted as one of the norms for whatever you use. But they're tying it into this new generation by doing it with the Mix-On, which actually has a slot. I can share here real quick. Give me 10 seconds.
Sure.
Actually has a slot to set an iPad in. All right, so here it is, and right here's the slot where the iPad sits in, and both with this one and with algorithms for DJ vinyl with that, as you can see there, it's not hooked up to a computer; it's hooked up to his phone.
Sure.
So that was one of the things. The whole video is about him mixing from the phone. So that's what they're tying into, is this next generation who are looking past, what we knew as laptop DJing, and to them, a tablet is their computer. They don't go, my computer and my tablet. The tablet is their computer now. That's the mentality they take. So they're leaning into this to get that next generation who are going, well, why would I buy music when I can just play it off of this tablet already that has the software that does everything already? I can do it with my phone. I can do all of this. And that's what I think they're leaning towards. So
now, for a period of time, I think they had the ability to stream Spotify music or to use Spotify. Do they still have any of that, or are you familiar?
They have Beatport. I can't even remember all of what it is. It's Beatport, Beat Source. See if it says here. I knew the whole thing here. I'm not going to be able to quote it. It's a bunch of them. If I can do this without it making noise, hold on here. It's going to make noise. Don't make noise.
Tim asked, of course, if you have to be connected to stream, and that was actually one of the cool things. If I'm not mistaken, there was a version of DJ that you could connect it with Spotify, and you could actually download the Spotify playlist to your device for offline listening. And if I remember correctly, I could then access it in DJ.
They lost DJ. It was July 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not tied with Spotify. That one.
That one, yeah, because it was there for a period of time, and I went through and I downloaded. There was some the best of 70s playlists, the best of 80s, and there were some good playlists that people put together. And I filled my iPad. It was a smaller iPad, but I mean, I downloaded everything so I could have all these different things, and I was so excited. And I want to say a couple of months later, poof, all gone.
Well, keep in mind, there's programs out there that you can transfer your playlist, so you can make playlist in that and then transfer it over to Deezer and then play Deezer from different ones, or trade it over to Beat Source. I mean, you can do all of that. You don't need to have that anymore. You can transfer stuff. So keep that in mind also. Sorry.
One of the things I feel like they tried to jump into the market in a different way a few years ago when they really started to push it was a Mac app as opposed to being the iOS and being that realm. They had a program, and it was a little bit more robust and a little bit more features that made it a little bit more enticing. But it never really seemed like it caught footing. And I think we're starting to see exactly what they realized is that if they're going to take on the world, for lack of better terms, in this area, they're going to do it with the app, because right now the other big names that we're used to, they don't have an app for playback that is controllable from any device. right? So, yes, Serato has Pyro and Virtual DHA has the remote. And I'm just saying those are not what we're talking about. We're not talking about using the actual software, right? And to be able to mix and doing those things. DJ seems to be the only one that's been able to do this or go after this. And if they're able to take on the world a little bit stronger, I could see a lot of people making that switch just because look at the size of the thing. I mean, rather than bring out the big laptop.
I predicted that a while ago. I'm going to take Chris Crowder in there, said Spotify does allow offline with the virtual DJ. Spotify has not allowed itself on anything but algorithm in almost 5 years. Algorithm lost it like 3 years ago. So virtual hasn't had that in over 5 years, the ability to play that.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm telling you that as things develop, you're going to have more of these apps. Wait, this video is still playing over here. I got to stop the video. It's bothering me. Because you're going to have more of the apps. John and I both were told that Serato is making a mobile app. And they're eventually going to come out with a mobile app. And that's where I think you're going to start seeing a lot of Spotify, different kinds of things that algorithms doing and virtual's doing, that when Serato releases that app, that's going to have their newer technology that they can do the different type of searches and stuff like that, because that's what's kind of holding them back a little bit right now. But like I said, as this develops, this is what's going to drive it. When they go to this, you're not going to be able to buy the program. You're only going to pay for a monthly subscription. So they're going to get you monthly subscription for the program, monthly subscription for the streaming music, monthly subscription for the plugins, monthly subscriptions for the ability to have that same thing match up on your tablet and your laptop. Mm-hmm. There's so many things like that, and that's what pushes anything. Money. If giving away free music made the companies money, they would give away free music.
And there might get to that point in time where an Apple or an Amazon may come out with a DJ application or have one tied into them, and you're going to pay.
It wouldn't be surprised to me if
$40 a month or something.
If they put it on top of like a GarageBand, mm-hmm. and call it Garage DJ or something like that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden,
then all the starter bedroom people are like, I'm doing this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think if you've got the Apple, whatever, it's $30 a month for the music and all their little aspects of their storage and things. Yeah, if you're paying $50 a month and now I get the ability to DJ with an application, it will actually let me be able to blend and mix and do things similar to virtual DJ. Yeah, I may be saying goodbye to virtual DJ just because now I can mix or I can play from millions of songs at a given time as long as I've got internet access.
Well, one of the things with algorithm and what was it? What was the other one? Dejuiced? The other software?
That was Hercules.
Yeah, and they're kind of built on the same platform, and they will allow you to DJ from all three. So imagine Serato algorithm. You can use your phone as the remote away from it as you're playing on your tablet. So you're integrating a lot of stuff in there. You can work on your playlists from your phone and different things like that, which people want. So that's why I think it's going to drive it, is these technologies. And if you want to see it, go watch it. DJ Angelo's video, it's out there, and that's with the new algorithm DVS. And it shows how instant plug and play it is with controllers, and he used a mixer and turntables. But imagine that you're going out this weekend and I just have to do this little thing. Take that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're going to end up seeing also is as this becomes stronger and you see more of the apps and stuff like that, obviously there's going to be the switch over to more tablets. But I feel like this is that bridge that we all kind of needed to go to the standalones. Yeah, I think when the Prime came out and stuff, you did have some people jump on it and people liked it and ran with it, and at some point I think we're going to get there. But I think there were so many people that were kind of like, not yet. No, I'm not there yet. And you have this transition, if you will, this transition period of the tablets that could help bridge that over a little bit more. I think it'll be interesting to see if that speeds up that process any more than it would have otherwise.
Here's why I think the standalones aren't going to be what you think they're going to be. I think it's going to go more towards the tablets, because right now, I want you to use this example, Denon's Prime 4, or any of the engine stuff. Let's say you have a song in there in your standalone that you no longer want in there. You cannot delete it unless you hook it up to a computer. Simple functions like that can't be done without the computer. So if you have a tablet that lets you do whatever you want and then plug it into any device you want, it's still a plug and play kind of thing. Someone's going to be on tour. Instead of taking the thumb drive, they're already going to have their tablet or their phone with them. That's where I think it's going to be. Stuff we already, like here, because I have the Fold. Yeah, I'm on DJ on something that big. I'd go for it. I have no problem with that, you know? But that's where I think it's going to go. Because right now, the standalone technology doesn't work unless you are a very plain play kind of thing, and you don't have to worry about songs last minute. Here's another example that I learned when I had it. I had a song that was 128. I wanted to do as part of a mix. I want to make it 130. So instead of messing with that, I took it out, sped it to 130, put it back in. It's still read it as 128. It would not read it as 130 until I renamed that song, because the standalone's memory takes on that old thing and won't override it. So there are little things like that that just make it go, no.
Not ready.
But it also could be some of those things that could potentially. I agree with the idea of the tablet and everything else, and I'm just waiting. I can't wait to see this catch on, and then somebody complains in one of the Facebook groups about their mom who FaceTimed them while they're doing an event. But because that would be me, because she doesn't know how to use technology.
Don't disturb.
What was that?
Don't disturb mode, or keep a totally separate set, because I have total different login for DJ.
So do I. It's more humorous than
I like to.
It's you guarantee there's going to be some kid that's going to be happening to him. He's doing a party,
Ring,
and his
ring,
mom's
ring.
like, "You're supposed to be home 10 minutes ago. Where are you?" And it's coming through the speakers.
But no, I could see. I understand the limitations that we're talking about with the standalones, but I also feel that it was a step in the right direction, and those are things that. For lack of better terms, we'll call them bugs that need to be worked out and need to be fixed and finalized. And so I could see where both of them are going to have their applications, and I could see where some of the mobile guys will probably potentially go to the standalones more on that bridge gap.
My main complaint is a pretty simple one, is that if I want to edit something in that, I have to be in front of that controller.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to change anything, if I want to make a playlist, I have to be there.
You got to pop it open at home then.
The laptop or the tablet, you can be anywhere and do that. And if you have that mobile tablet, you really can. So that's my thing. I look at it that even the wedding guys are going to go, I need to make this playlist. I don't have time to go out into the trailer, pull out the controller,
for sure,
up to edit these.
Very true.
Very true.
I think it's going to, again, people will pay for convenience. That's why you will pay $3 for paper towels at the convenience store when you can buy them for 99 cents at Walmart. In the same way, people will go, well, yeah, I'll pay for this to have something I already have in front of me. That's what I think. But I could be wrong. We could switch back to 45s for all I know. You never know.
Some people have.
Cassette tape DJing is going to be the next
It'll
thing.
be fabulous. It'll be great. It'll be great.
I'm sorry, I'm babbling tonight.
So yeah, the idea with attendance was lower, but again, you could see that even just with media. Typical, Brian is with us tonight. Brian would have been there. I would have been there. Any number of our DJ industry people would have been there. Very few were there unless they were performing in a booth. Maybe they came in on Sunday, but I did not see social media pushes as much as we typically would have seen from NAMM. I didn't see the press releases coming out because there just wasn't a lot to talk about. So the question came up earlier today is okay, is NAMM 2023 going to be better? What would you say? They asked me. I don't see it. I really don't. NAMM 2023 is going to be held in April of next year, and right now companies that don't have gear this time are saying they may not see their gear until late in mid 2023, just because some of the factories that they needed were down to a quarter staff, because that's kind of how they've handled the COVID things over in China, and then shipping things, and they're way behind on production. They're not very optimistic. Will it be better? I think it might be a little bit better. It's a little earlier, so it doesn't compete with our wedding season here in Minnesota. Our wedding season starts in after prom season, so we're about mid-May is when wedding season kind of starts. Yes, we can have April weddings, but most of them are later. So I think you may see more media types like myself there, but gear-wise, I don't think we're going to be really doing anything like a 2019 level until 2024 or 2025, which seems like it's like, wow, that's so far out there. But in this industry and how development happens, you'll have, there's going to be things rolling through it here and there, but you're not going to have oh my gosh, there's 10 new products here from a company. And it may never be that way again. It might be that they're just going to drip a couple of things out, and NAMM's the place where someone like a Ben Stowe can go in there and they can touch the last 5 products that were released in 2020, 2024 type of thing.
I don't know if I read this right the other day. If I'm correct, Apple has moved their iPad production out of China and into South Korea because of all the closures. If I'm correct, I read that. So the countries that it would begin in and end in, I'm not sure if I quoted those right, but they did have to do that because of closures.
Yeah, and that's if Apple's doing it, that's definitely a sign of the times. So, and we haven't even gotten into any of the other, the future economic things we might be seeing in the United States, which is a whole other topic and a whole other show. So yeah, overall, if you're in the music industry and you like Summer NAMM in Nashville, which is typically, where it happens, this would have been a good NAMM for you, because you would have been there to see the new instruments and unique things. And I've heard from some people that there were some really cool guitars that were on display there, and that the live music industry did pretty well, or was perceived pretty well, with having gear that they haven't seen before. Whatever that means. If it came out in the last 2 years, whoever knows. But
they're still hurting too, because I work, I teach classes for Guitar Center. And I was talking to a few of the guys there who are waiting on like pedals for their guitars and stuff. And they're like, stuff like that. And I don't know about the guitars, but the peripherals, if you want to call it that, they're still same thing as us.
Yeah. So it's a tough time. Definitely. It's going to be a tough time. So yeah, one of our industry events went through. And there will be, next week, is it, that the Marquee Show is going to be in Chicago. So that's coming up here really quite quickly. They should have, to a point, you may have more DJ industry representation there than NAMM had, if you can believe that. But yeah, they
got an incredible lineup. So if you haven't checked out what the speakers they have and all that, check that out.
Yeah, they've got marqueeshow.com. You guys can go pop out there and check out the exhibit hall. He's got a good little exhibit hall coming in there, and I even believe I think I think Pioneer and the In Music company are going to both be there. Actually, I believe. I might be In Music for sure. I'm not. Jay would know more on the Pioneer side of it, what's going on there. But anyway, you guys, you'll be able to find out. Jay, go to djntv.com/chill. They'll be talking about these things in more depth from someone who is actually there. We just want to give you guys an overview of it because of not being there. It's kind of secondhand information, and you'll be able to see in the videos. The one booth I do want to talk about just a little bit is the American DJ booth, ADJ. In the past, you guys have seen some of the videos where we've set the camera up and they've had this light show that has been programmed, and it's been a really cool, all-encompassing light show. This year, it was kind of a sign of not only the times, but I think the direction American DJ, ADJ is going, is that they're not focusing as much on the DJ industry with some of their more architectural lighting and more production level lighting. They've got bigger items, bigger gear out there that doesn't fit into the typical mobile DJ. So they went from having that booth that was all kind of enclosed and they could have this really cool light show to basically tabletops and light fixtures there that they could show people and talk about, and booth size much smaller. That's just how it worked for this year. And it was, when I saw the picture of it, it's like, well, where's the rest of the booth? Or is this like their second booth or something? No, this is just, again, the way it was for a lot of the companies.
But we do thank them for being, having something and making an effort at least. Gives us something to talk about and hope for. So
exactly.
Everybody who went and braved all the things, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's nice to see it's back. It's just also that reminder that, things are here, but it's not like it was. And it's just a hope that someday we will be back to something like it was to a point, because may never get back fully, but what we see this year is it's either it has to get better, or if it doesn't get better and stays the same, this is, it's the attrition of our shows like that for our industry. And I'm hoping that's not the case. So anyway, we got to wrap. Howie's up next, DJNTV.com/chill. And then we'll have a couple of shows coming up this week with the recordings from Howie's room, and for the Tuesday Night Music Show. Tuesday Night Music Show records at 10 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday nights. Jay, Brian, and Howie and some of the crew jump in there and talking music every week, so you can join them and in the chill room. So I think we got to roll, guys.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much for taking time out of your night to join us. Hopefully you had some fun. And are you saying you're thirsty? I'm not saying it. I'll just take the drink. Have yourself a wonderful night. We'll see you next week. Bye.